It's starting. I'm Joe.
Everyone, good morning, afternoon, or evening, no matter what time zone you're in. Welcome back to Sip&Talk. I'm Sunny.
And a massive welcome to all of our incredible Sip&Talkers tuning in today. We are just really so glad you're here.
Yeah, it is great to be back. Grab your coffee or whatever you're drinking.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, I have to bring something up right off the bat because I was looking at our comment section from our recent episode on, global economic metrics.
Oh boy, I think I know where this is going.
Right. I mean, we posted raw, unedited, mathematically verified government data, literally just numbers. And the absolute meltdown in the comments was completely wild.
It really was.
Like, half the people accused us of being paying off by the current administration, and then the other half accused us of being this, dark money front for the opposition. We're literally just reading the speedometer, and people are screaming at us for making the car go too fast.
Yeah, I saw those exact comments. And honestly, it really highlights what I think is the defining tragedy of our modern era. Well, we are living in this strange reality where a fact like a verifiable objective number is treated as a personal attack.
Oh, totally.
We've reached a point where when a piece of reality challenges a deeply held belief, the reality itself is viewed as offensive. Simply stating a fact is suddenly treated as this hostile act.
Which is just wild to me. I mean, it's exhausting. So before we get into the meat of today's discussion, I want to clearly state our guiding philosophy here on Sip&Talk.
Yeah, let's set the baseline.
Right. Our compass is built on rationality, logic, and multidimensional thinking. We are not straw men. We actually use our brains, we do our research, and we look at the world critically. But we absolutely refuse to be a megaphone for any specific political or cultural faction.
Exactly. I mean, we aren't here to cheerlead for anyone.
Right.
We are here to understand the mechanics of the world.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out how things work.
Right. And to truly understand why people attack facts, we first have to unpack the biological and technological forces that are driving this massive us versus them mentality globally.
Okay, so where do we start?
It all starts with the evolutionary root of human behavior.
Wait, hold on, though. I hear evolutionary roots thrown around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, we aren't running from saber-toothed tigers anymore, right? We're arguing on smartphones. Why is my brain treating a disagreement over, tax policy or energy grids like a literal life or death situation?
Because your biological hardware, well, it hasn't updated its software in tens of thousands of years.
Okay, fair point.
Anthropologists and psychologists refer to this as the tribal brain or in-group bias. Think back to our early evolutionary history. For almost all of human existence, survival literally meant sticking to your group.
Right, there were no lone wolves.
Exactly. If you wandered off alone or if you were cast out of the tribe because you didn't conform, you didn't survive. You either starved or you were eaten. So the outside group, the other, was always a potential existential threat.
So the brain essentially processes social disagreement as a physical threat to its existence.
Precisely. The brain doesn't easily distinguish between social exclusion and physical death. So, in times of stress or uncertainty, humanity's default neurological setting is to differentiate friend from foe instantly. We literally cannot process complex right or wrong logic until we've answered the fundamental question of us or them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So in that primal state, neutrality becomes incredibly suspicious.
Oh, highly suspicious.
Wow. So if you aren't actively defending the tribe with your whole chest, you must be working for the enemy. It's that vibe of, are you with us or are you going to get us killed?
Yes, exactly that.
So complex, rational, nuanced thought is actually viewed as a betrayal of the group's safety.
It is. The middle ground isn't seen as a place of reason. It's seen as a place of treason.
A place of treason. Man, that makes the comment section make so much more sense. But it's mutated, hasn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, the old saying, birds of a feather flock together.
Mm-hmm.
That used to just mean you hang out with people who like the same sports team or, the same music. But now it has mutated into destroy anyone who isn't us. I was reading that in social psychology, they actually call this affective polarization.
Oh yeah, affective polarization. It's a crucial concept to understand today's climate.
Right. It's fascinating because the data shows that people don't even necessarily love their own side anymore. They aren't head over heels for their own politicians or their own policies.
No, not at all.
They just absolutely despise the other side. The hatred for the outgroup is actually vastly stronger than the affection for the in-group.
And that biological vulnerability, that primal fear of the outgroup is exactly what gets mercilessly exploited by the modern accelerator.
You mean social media?
The media and the algorithms. Yes, this is the engine of the rage economy.
The rage economy. I like that term. Well, I hate the reality of it, but it's accurate.
Right. The algorithms that curate our social feeds, they don't understand context, they don't care about truth, and they certainly don't care about nuance. They care about one single metric: engagement.
And nothing drives engagement quite like getting people fired up and terrified.
Because anger and fear are the fastest spreading emotions on the internet.
Always.
They bypass the logical prefrontal cortex and directly trigger the amygdala, those exact same tribal survival instincts we just talked about.
So we're basically being hacked.
Completely. A post that says, hey, here is a balanced look at an infrastructure bill. That gets ignored.
Crickets.
Right. But a post that says, the other side is using this bill to destroy your way of life, that gets millions of shares.
Oh, instantly.
Yeah.
Because you have to warn the tribe.
Exactly. Moderation, compromise, careful analysis, those things get zero traffic. Because of that algorithmic filter, the most extreme voices are artificially amplified until they feel like the overwhelming majority, even when they really aren't.
Which brings in the final piece of this puzzle, which is the political strategy. Because strategists know exactly how this machinery works.
Oh, they are very aware.
They realize that mobilizing a small, highly concentrated group of absolute fanatics is so much more cost-efficient than trying to carefully persuade a large, diverse group of moderates.
It's all about optimization for them.
Yeah, exactly. The strategy isn't to win the middle anymore. It's to force centrists to pick a side. You squeeze the middle ground from both sides until it disappears completely.
It is a brilliant, albeit incredibly destructive strategy. And it is vital to recognize that this polarization, it isn't just an American algorithmic issue. It is a global phenomenon.
Right, it's everywhere.
But what is truly fascinating is how it takes on very different flavors depending on the cultural landscape you're examining.
Okay, I like where this is going.
If we take a tour of this middle ground graveyard, we can see the specific mechanics of how this plays out in different societies.
But does effective polarization always look the same everywhere? Like, if we look at Asia, what does this actually look like on the ground in Taiwan?
So in Taiwan, the polarization is defined by an incredibly rigid identity binary.
Right.
Almost every issue, whether it's domestic energy policy, economic stimulus, or infrastructure development, it eventually gets hijacked by identity politics. It all boils down to the blue versus green divide.
Wait, so the actual merits of the policy don't even matter. You could propose the most logical energy grid update in the world, and it just gets swallowed by the binary.
Exactly. The details of a policy are entirely secondary. It's really all about identity signaling. And the societal pressure is immense. If you aren't green enough, you are immediately labeled blue by your own camp. If you aren't blue enough, you're labeled green.
So there's no room to just be an independent thinker.
There is absolutely no middle space. Centrists who try to look at issues objectively, analyzing the data without a colored lens, they are routinely dismissed as untrustworthy opportunists who are just waiting to see which way the wind blows.
That sounds absolutely exhausting. You're just constantly proving your loyalty.
Very exhausting.
Now, if we look at the United States, it's a different flavor, but it is the exact same underlying sickness. I can definitely speak to this one.
Yeah, walk us through the U.S. landscape.
So in the U.S., the Democratic and Republican parties have basically evolved way past being mere political organizations. They have become distinct, all-encompassing cultural camps.
It really operates as a full-blown culture war.
Completely. I mean, the demographic dividing lines are incredibly stark now. You have an urban, highly educated, highly diverse coalition on one side and a more rural, non-college educated, traditional coalition on the other.
Right.
And they live in completely separate information ecosystems. Like, we all know the echo chambers of CNN on one side and Fox News on the other, but they aren't just disagreeing on how to tax corporations anymore. They're disagreeing on basic fundamental reality.
And we are simply observing this landscape impartially, but it is striking how visual and symbolic the tribalism has become in the U.S.
Oh, the visual aspect is everything. You see influencers and politicians using incredibly specific visual cues.
Like what?
Well, someone puts on a Meiji hat or they pose in family photos holding firearms. And to be clear, we're not endorsing or criticizing the politics here.
Of course not.
But looking at it sociologically, those aren't just props. They are partisan cues.
You're signaling.
Exactly. They are a highly efficient shortcut to signal immediate tribal loyalty. It's a visual way to say, I am part of your tribe, protect me, and attack the people who don't look like this.
Right.
And with figures like Trump dominating the discourse, the battle lines are just so brightly drawn. In the U.S., both sides' criticism is viewed as the ultimate betrayal. If you critique both parties, you aren't seen as an independent thinker. You are a political orphan rejected by everyone.
Which is a very loud, very visible form of tribalism. But if we shift over to Japan, the polarization is much quieter.
Oh, interesting.
However, I would argue it is equally stifling to the intellect.
Quieter how? Because you don't really see the massive, fiery shouting matches on television there as much. How does polarization work in a culture that traditionally values harmony?
It's driven by the nature of a consensus society. The ruling party, the LDP, has historically maintained a strong grip, and the overarching cultural pressure is really about maintaining harmony and not disturbing the peace.
So don't rock the boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In Japan, there's a highly prevalent concept known as keiwai kuki yomenai, which translates to someone who cannot read the air or read the room.
Oh, I've heard of that. So if you speak out of turn or bring up a disruptive fact, you're ruining the vibe of the entire group.
Precisely. The mechanism of enforcement isn't a shouting match, it's social freezing.
Yikes.
Here, neutrality is forced into silence. If you try to express a nuanced, middle ground view on incredibly sensitive historical topics like the country's military history or constitutional reform, you risk being severely ostracized.
Because both sides will just turn on you.
Yes. The right will quickly label you as anti-Japanese, and the left will brand you a militarist. So to survive socially and professionally, people just stop talking.
Wow.
The middle ground isn't a loud battlefield. It's a library where everyone is aggressively shushed.
A library where everyone is aggressively shushed. That is a chilling visual.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how the entire world is retreating into these tribal camps, just utilizing different cultural methods to enforce the borders.
Different tools for the same biological instinct.
Exactly. So, since we are all barricading ourselves in these echo chambers, whether through shouting or shushing, what actually happens inside the human brain when a neutral piece of data finally penetrates the wall? Like, when a pure fact enters the chat, how does the mind process it?
This is where the behavioral psychology gets really incredible. There are 3 major psychological defense mechanisms that kick into high gear when facts challenge our tribal beliefs. I like to call them the 3 fallacies.
Okay, let's break these down. How exactly do they work?
The first is the backfire effect.
The backfire effect.
Right. When a person's core beliefs are challenged by contradictory evidence, their brain literally treats those facts as enemy bullets.
Seriously.
Seriously. Instead of incorporating the new data and changing their mind, they actually double down on their original incorrect belief. The subconscious logic becomes, if you are reporting bad news about my side, you must inherently hate me.
Wait, but isn't that just being stubborn? Are you saying our brains literally cannot tell the difference between an ideological threat and a physical threat?
Neurologically, the reaction is incredibly similar. The amygdala activates, flooding the body with stress hormones. You aren't processing a spreadsheet anymore. You are fighting off an attacker.
That is wild.
The brain is basically saying, you're attacking my facts, so you're attacking my identity.
That completely explains the comment sections.
Yeah.
We put up a math equation, and people react like we threw a rock at them. Okay, what is the second mechanism?
The second fallacy is selective skepticism. And we see the mechanics of this every single day.
Oh, I'm sure.
When people encounter tailwind data, information that supports what they already believe, they instantly share it. Zero friction. No fact-checking required.
Right, it just validates them.
But if they encounter headwind data that contradicts their worldview, suddenly they turn into investigative journalists. They aggressively dig into the funding, the background of the researchers, the political leanings of the author, looking for absolutely any possible excuse to dismiss the methodology.
Oh, the double standard is so real. It's like, this study agrees with me, so it's brilliant science. That study disagrees with me, so who funded it? I mean, honestly, I'm definitely guilty of that sometimes.
We all are, honestly. It's human nature.
What's the third fallacy?
The third is the zero-sum illusion. It's also known in logic as a false dilemma.
Okay.
This is the deeply ingrained belief that the world operates like a fixed pie chart. If you praise side A for doing something good, people automatically assume you are actively subtracting points from side B.
Oh, right.
They literally cannot comprehend a reality where 2 opposing things might both have valid points simultaneously.
That pie chart mentality is exactly why doing objective analysis gets so much pushback. To explain our reporting style here on Sip and Talk, I always like to use the doctor and the X-ray analogy.
Oh, I like this one. I think this perfectly illustrates the dynamic.
Right. Think about it like this. You go to the hospital because you have a cough. The doctor puts your scan up on the light board, points to it, and says, hey, there's a shadow on your lung.
Not great news.
No. But that diagnosis is not the doctor's stance. The doctor isn't playing politics with your respiratory system. That is just reality. The shadow is there.
Exactly.
You wouldn't scream at the doctor, accuse them of working for a rival pharmaceutical company, and storm out just because the medical news makes you uncomfortable.
You certainly hope not. I mean, a rational person wants to treat the underlying illness, not yell at the diagnostic tool.
Exactly. And this show, Sip&Talk, is that X-ray. We look at the data, the global trends, the statistics.
Sure.
We want our listeners to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. We want society to thrive.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
But we absolutely will not Photoshop the scan just to spare someone's feelings. If the data says there's a problem in the economy or the culture, we're going to point at the shadow.
I love that framing. But, you know, it does raise a critical, practical question. Now that we know the system is entirely rigged to make us angry, to exploit our primitive tribal brains, and to trigger these fallacies, how do we actually protect our minds?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
How do we avoid becoming traffic leaks, just getting mindlessly harvested by algorithms for ad revenue?
Yes. How do we survive the rage economy? Give us the armor, Sonny. What are the defense strategies?
Okay, I have a specific three-part framework for our listeners to protect their intellectual independence.
Let's hear it.
Strategy number 1, separate signal from noise. When you are watching a video or reading an article, actively strip away the yelling.
Just ignore it.
Right. Strip away the visual stunts, the dramatic background music, the props. Ask yourself, what is the actual structural claim being made here? If there is no core argument left once you remove the theatrics, it's just noise. Discard it immediately.
That is incredibly practical. Literally just mute the video and read the closed captions. If the argument falls apart without the scary music telling you how to feel, it's garbage.
Exactly. Just check it out. Strategy number 2, beware of default hostility.
Default hostility.
Yeah. Whenever a content creator or a politician bases their entire foundational argument on the claim that the other side wants to completely destroy us, that is a massive red flag.
Because they're just playing on fear.
They are trying to hijack your amygdala. When you hear that phrase, immediately switch to cold, rational thinking. Ask for the proof of the mechanism. Don't let them bypass your logic.
And strategy 3.
Break the echo chamber. And honestly, Joe, this is the hardest one for people to execute.
Oh, I bet.
The most dangerous content on your feed isn't actually the stuff that makes you angry. It is the content that makes you feel you are always 100% right.
Wow.
If you never encounter a well-articulated idea that challenges your worldview, you aren't being informed, you are being coddled.
That is so true. We love the comfort of being told we're right. To add a practical tool to that, I read this brilliant concept recently from the Washington Post called complicating the narratives.
Oh, what is that?
The idea is that journalists, and really all of us in our daily lives, we need to fundamentally change the questions we ask each other.
Okay.
Like instead of walking up to someone and asking, what side are you on regarding this controversial policy?
Yeah,
which,
right.
as we just learned, just triggers their tribal defense.
Right. It instantly puts them on guard.
Exactly. Instead, you ask them, what life experiences led you to your conclusions?
Oh, that completely shifts the entire dynamic of the conversation.
It really does. Because suddenly, they aren't reciting a political script they heard on cable news. They are telling you a human story about their hometown, their family's business, their struggles.
It forces empathy.
Yes. It bypasses the tribal brain entirely. It makes it nearly impossible for those rigid binary labels to stick. You complicate the narrative by adding humanity back into the equation.
I love that. If we connect this back to the bigger picture, it's all about reclaiming our intellectual independence from systems designed to exploit us. And I want to explicitly state, as we wrap up today's discussion, that our conversation today wasn't meant to criticize or discriminate against any specific country, political group, or demographic.
Oh, not at all.
Whether we're talking about Taiwan, the US, or Japan, we all share the exact same neurological hardware. This was purely an objective look at human behavioral psychology and media structures. Our only goal is to encourage independent, critical thinking across the board.
Absolutely. We're all human. We all have these evolutionary blind spots. And speaking of being objective, I'll just weave this in here. Any economic, market, or geopolitical trends we mentioned today are purely data for your reference.
Good call.
This is not professional investment advice. Always do your own research before making financial moves.
Always.
Well, we covered a massive amount of ground today. If that was too much information to process at once, remember to listen twice. Or go grab a coffee to cool down and let the concepts marinate.
A coffee break sounds pretty good right now.
Right. And if you enjoyed having your brain stretched today, please hit that subscribe button to the Sip and Talk podcast. We love having you in the community.
We really do. Your support means everything to us and keeps this going.
Also, before we go, a huge shout out to our old friend Mickey. You absolutely have to check out his YouTube channel, Mickey to Life.
Oh yeah, Mickey's stuff is great.
It really is. Mickey Hamup has a brand new vlog out documenting a really interesting adventure he's having in the Netherlands right now. The visuals are stunning, it's super entertaining, and it's just a great palate cleanser after all this heavy psychology.
It's a fantastic watch. Definitely go check it out.
So go type Mickey to Life in your search bar and show him some love.
All right, Sip and Talkers, we're going to leave you with one final thought to ponder as you go about your day.
Leave him with a good one.
We talked so much about the extremes today, the loud voices on the fringes. But what if the loudest 10% on either side of the spectrum are actually just a massive algorithmic distraction?
What if the quiet, complex, nuanced 80% in the middle is where the real future of society is actually being built right now?
That is definitely something worth thinking about.
Stay curious, everyone. See you next time.